Hello, everyone. Welcome to the joint Good Friday service. My name is Travis Norville, and I'm the pastor at Judson Memorial Baptist Church.
And my name is Doug Donnelly. I'm pastor of University Baptist Church in Minneapolis. We're so happy to be able to share this experience with you. This is a time in Minneapolis when the Chauvin trial has begun. It's a time that we are still reeling from yet another mass shooting, one in Atlanta, one in Colorado, and the constant killings that happen that don't get recorded. And so we remember that we are in a time of pain and a time of reflection, and hopefully a time of being able to viscerally feel the reality of the stages of our lives so that it can better inform our Easter celebration.
We invite you to this service to center in through poetry, through song, through readings, through some silence. We invite you to take this time to go toward the pain. On this Good Friday, let's not jump straight to Easter, but let's pause this day, remember the pain, because that the pain is the center of the Christian witness, and it's the center of the witness for us as followers of Jesus in this time when people are looking for a balm in Gilead, a place to call home, and a place to find justice and peace. Welcome to worship, brothers and sisters, friends and neighbors.
Join us in a call to worship.
The Good Fridays of our lives come unbidden and unexpected, bringing the winter of despair and the death of dreams and hope.
Only love has the power to mend what has been broken.
A love that brings healing to our wounds.
A love that offers hope when we have none.
A love that creates unity when there is conflict.
A love that instills new life into lifeless brown husks.
May this great love be in us, upon us, and among us now and through all of our days.
May it be so.
Please join us in singing What Wondrous Love Is This?
You scoff at us for what? You administer your white gaze for what? You call us thugs for what? kneeling to an anthem when our country is in a state of misery, when the police have caused injury, even though it happened again as it once did in history? Where was your outrage as the police kneeled? As he kneeled for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. You can argue that he didn't use weapons, but that's because he had something much stronger, something that has been around much longer, this thing you dismiss as squander. He had fear. A badge, a system that instilled in him beliefs that were not overt, but so profound he saw nothing wrong with watching a man pleading for his life take his last breath. These words aren't meant to justify the acts of violence done in outrage, or emphasize the need for a new age. Yes, that means reparation, not a wage, but a justice, which has yet to be discussed, thus brutality will persist. Draw us as victims in your whitewashed history, but we will always be warriors and kings. We will use our voices and sing until the ones that don't see color or see us as other change. James Baldwin once valiantly said, "Ignorance allied with power is the most ferocious enemy justice can have." Do not let this enemy conquer. Do not sponsor racist ideals. Instead, try asking the other side how they feel, because inquiry is so much stronger than ignorance. So when you make that tweet, let your finger linger just for 1 second and think, am I writing to be heard or to understand? Be an ally, lend a hand. That is what we need. I mean, we already had an angry tweeter for a leader. Look how that turned out.
No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace!
A prayer for Good Friday.
O God, we are here today to remember the love and sacrifice of Jesus and to contemplate what it means to have faith in the midst of suffering, loss, and injustice.
Even in this story of broken lives and broken hearts, we trust in your presence, your powers, and your ways. We trust that in the midst of suffering, you, O God, are comfort.
When injustice appears to triumph and justice appears to have been crucified, you, O God, are the one who calls us to believe and act with justice.
When night surrounds us and we are fearful and lacking vision, you, O God, are the light that finds, surrounds, and guides us.
When the world groans under the bonds of oppression, violence, and indifference, you, O God, empower your people to offer the balm of courageous compassion and peacemaking.
We are here, O God. For us, it is not finished. We are people of hope. Amen.
What Abides for Good Friday by Jan Richardson. You will know this blessing by how it does not stay still, by the way it refuses to rest in one place. You will recognize it by how it takes first one form, then another, now running down the face of the mother who watches the breaking of the child she had borne, now in the stance of the woman who followed him here and who will not leave him bereft. Now it twists in anguish on the mouth of the friend whom he loved. Now it bears itself in the wound, the cry, the finishing and final breath. This blessing is not in any one of these alone. It is what binds them together. It is what dwells in the space between them, though it be torn and gaping. It is what abides in the tear the rending makes.
The last hours of Jesus' life according to Mark's Gospel. As soon as it was morning, the chief priests held a consultation with the elders and scribes and the whole council. They bound Jesus, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate. Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered him, "You say so." Then the chief priests accused him of many things. Pilate asked him again, "Have you no answer? See how many charges they bring against you." But Jesus made no further reply, so Pilate was amazed. Now at the festival, he used to release a prisoner for them, anyone whom they asked. Now a man called Barabbas was in prison with rebels who had committed murder and incited an insurrection. So the crowd came and asked Pilate to do for them according to his custom. And then he answered them, "Do you want me to release for you the king of the Jews?" For he realized that it was out of jealousy that the chief priests had handed him over. But the chief priests stirred up the crowd to have him release Barabbas for them instead. So Pilate spoke to them, "Then what do you wish me to do with the man you call King of the Jews?" They shouted back, "Crucify him!" Pilate asked them, "Why? What evil has he done?" But they shouted all the more, "Crucify him!" So Pilate, wishing to satisfy the crowd, released Barabbas for them, and after flogging Jesus, he handed him over to be crucified. Then the soldiers led him into the courtyard of the palace, that is, the governor's headquarters, and they called together the whole cohort. And they clothed him with a purple cloak, and after twisting some thorns into a crown, they put it on his head. And they began to salute him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" They struck his head with a reed, spat upon him, knelt down and paid homage to him. And after mocking him, they stripped him of the purple cloak, put his own clothes back on him, and led him out to crucify him. They compelled a passerby who was coming in from the country to carry his cross. It was Simon of Cyrene, the father of Alexander and Rufus. Then they brought Jesus to the place called Golgotha, which also means the place of the skull. And they offered him wine mixed with myrrh, but he did not take it. And they crucified him and divided his clothes among them, casting lots to decide what each should take. It was 9:00 in the morning when they crucified him. The inscription of the charge against him read, "King of the Jews." And with him they crucified 2 bandits, one on his right and one on his left. And those who passed by derided him, shaking their heads and saying, "Ah, you who would destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself and come down from the cross." In the same way, the chief priests, along with the scribes, were also mocking him and saying to themselves, "He saved others. He cannot save himself. Let the Messiah, the King of Israel, come down from the cross now, so that we may see and believe." Those who were crucified with him also taunted him. When it was noon, darkness came over the whole land until 3:00 in the afternoon. At 3:00, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, "Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of the bystanders heard it, they said, "Listen, he's calling for Elijah." And some ran and filled a sponge full of sour wine and put it on a stick and gave it to him to drink, saying, "Wait, let's see whether Elijah will come and take him down." Then Jesus gave out a loud cry and breathed his last. And the curtain of the temple was torn in two from the top to the bottom. Now, when the centurion who stood facing him saw this, he breathed that in the way that he breathed his last. The centurion said, "Truly, this man was God's son."
clouds collide to come together, turning soft white into a dingy black. To walk up that hill to the place of the skull, following soldiers and mockers, and one who carried a cross for one unable to carry his own. He was left to our own devices, to do with him as we wished, to tear him apart. Clothes of a king, scraps of humanity scattered to the wind, bits of flesh off his back. On this dark and dreary day, painted in a bruised purple. Surely God had forsaken him, left him here, cast out of the womb, from the warm garden of birth and taken from the mother's breast and given to this humanity? But he no longer belonged to us. We no longer belong to him. To a mother, he said, "This is your son." And to a son, he said, "This is your mother." And at this point, they each went their own way. In this place, I stood up. The shadow of these figures pressed against the sky, like paper men cut out by scissors. And I saw myself as them. And all the moments of rejection, the stones thrown out from the quarry, polished in the pain and the suffering. My own cross was too heavy to carry. The weight of my regret and loss pressed heavy upon my chest. The anxiety of wanting to make something more of myself was almost too much to bear. All of my work was waste. All of my dreams nailed upon that tree. It was too much for this crucified king, who was made a victim for all of our crimes, a voice for suffering. We emptied our guilt upon him. He became a burden for our shame because we could not bear to take the blame. Because we had rejected God's gift of goodness. Looking up, Jesus cried out to God. To hear only deafening silence, bashed and bloodied, but bones not broken, he spoke his final words. It is finished. Completed. It was all he could do for us. He poured out his life for people who made a mockery of him. And he hung his head. Into the tomb, where the light ends and the nothingness begins. No longer in the land of the living, but another entrance to be sealed shut. East of Eden, dissolving life.
Judson.